we have 5 golden rules of consistency. The first rule is you need to have a clear vision, a goal. All right. You'll hear a lot of people talking about goals and why they're so important. Me personally, I wouldn't start a journey and not know where my destination is. I know sat navs these days have made car travel very different. I mean, back in my day, we used to use the A to Z. You'd have to get the A to Z out and plan your route. And on the topic of planning, that's exactly what you should be doing with your life. You should be planning where it is you want to go, and that includes your health. And in fact, it should start with your health. It should start with you. They're the foundations that you're going to be building your life from. So why wouldn't you want to start with you? Why wouldn't you want to be in the perfect condition that you could be? And I have to say, I wasn't living that life for a very long time. So I understand, but also now we need to make sure that we're starting to build that plan around you and your health, so you can be there for your kids, you can be there for your partner, and actually be a responsible person helping to take your family forward. So clear goal, a clear vision of where you want to go. And if you don't know how to set a goal, go and watch my video that I posted the other day that gives you clear-cut instructions how you can set a goal. So you will finish that set of training with a clearly defined goal, so there'll be no excuse as to the reason why you can't hit your target. The next one, number 2, is acknowledgement. So acknowledge that you're not happy with your current results. You know, a good friend of mine says the Nile is a river that runs in Africa. And you know, the Nile was strong running in my life. If I think back to April 2022, I was convinced, or trying to convince myself, that I was happy with my results. And specifically the results with my health. And I have to say, I wasn't. There wasn't a time where I would be able to look in the mirror and be comfortable with the reflection looking back at me. I would look away. I wouldn't want to have direct eye contact with myself because I was so disappointed with my physique, if I'm being completely honest. Like, as you know, I've been a health professional for a very, very long time, and at that time I didn't feel like one. I wasn't the personification of health, for sure. I had love handles, my t-shirts were tight. I mean, I could see the material stretched around my gut. My trousers were tight. I wasn't fitting into my trousers properly, but I was determined not to buy a bigger size. So I had fat hanging over my trousers, and I just did not feel comfortable. I would turn up to work taking people for a fitness session, and I felt inauthentic. And to be honest, I felt fat, I was fat, and I needed a wake-up call. And I got that wake-up call in April 2022, and maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need a wake-up call. If you're stuck like I was and you're feeling like you need to get some motivation, for me, it was stepping on those scales, facing up to the reality of my situation, all right, and acknowledge the fact that I was not happy. I wasn't happy with the fact that my visceral fat scores were high. I wasn't happy that my body fat percentage was high. To be honest, my body weight hasn't really changed much. I've lost about 4 kilos, but the distribution of that weight is significantly different now. So I finally looked in the mirror and actually saw the person staring back at me. And I have to say, that day was an uncomfortable day, but I mean, they do say like how dark it is before the dawn. And that day was the catalyst that helped me to make some changes and actually start thinking about the future and building lasting results. The next one is, so number 3 is stop making excuses. You've got to face up to the fact that it's on you. You're responsible for your results. So it's not no one else's fault where you are right now, okay? And all this narrative is something that I needed to heed and listen to myself. So those excuses that you're telling yourself, for me, it was I might get home late from a meeting at 10:30 and my alarm would have gone off to wake me up to go out for a run or a gym session, and then that voice in my head would say, oh, you deserve a lay-in. You got in late last night. Why don't you just stay in bed? Most normal people would stay in bed. Those were the sorts of conversations that I would have with myself. So those excuses, you need to find a way to push them to one side. And in fact, that's what having a true reason why, a goal, will help you to do. It will help you to evaporate those excuses. So not going to the gym after work because you're feeling tired, or choosing to have an extra serving of dinner because you've had a long day at work, even though you know your body doesn't need the extra energy, but you're going to have it anyway. Those sorts of conversations, if you've got a sufficiently strong why, a sufficiently strong reason to stay on track, then those potentially debilitating or self-sabotaging thoughts that you're having be easier to choose a path that is more in line with the goal that you've set for yourself. Number 4 is get a plan and stick to the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule, what is that? So that means 80% of the time you stick to your plan, and 20% of the time you let yourself off the hook. So what does that mean in practice? That doesn't mean that the 20% of the time that you're having a bit of leeway, it doesn't mean that you throw all your hard work out the window. It means that if for some reason you need to be at home to help with the children, your children are ill and you need to be at home, or your wife needs you at home, or something like that, it means that you don't have to feel guilty about it. It means that you can be around, be responsible, but still have that flexibility with your training regime. And it means 80% of the time that you're going at it, all right? And that is key. And finally, the 5th one, do the work. The reality is no one is coming to save you, all right? It's on you to get up early if need be. When I first started my training regime last April, the only time that I had available was 4 a.m. So I joined a 24-hour gym, and 3 days a week I would be in that gym just after 4 a.m. and I would be training. And I'm not saying this because I want a pat on the back. In fact, it's the opposite. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you really want it, then you will bend heaven and earth to get there. Now, I'm pretty certain if I told you to be at the end of your street at 4 a.m. every morning for the next year, and at the end of the year I will give you £1 million, I bet you would find a way to get there. Now, why don't we have that same attitude with our health and fitness? I don't know. And that's a question for another day. But I do want you to reflect on how you would feel if you was offered that proposition. And if you would find a way to bend heaven and earth to get on your street at 4 a.m, why can't you do that when it comes to you and your health? Particularly if it means you being around longer, being a strong leader for your family, and being that person that your children are looking up to and proud of. Now these were the reasons for me that got me to the gym and got me there, particularly when I didn't feel like it. Now there, my 5 golden rules for staying consistent. If you need some additional help, or you feel like maybe you're at that point where you're ready to make a commitment, then drop me a message and I'd love to help you. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.